There's so many stories about how the Reds originated. Ed Walton used to work for us in the men's department, and he was in the back selling lots of Reds, and people would always ask him stories about how they started. So he said one day Mr. Murray was walking by the cranberry bogs wearing a pair of stone-colored pants. He slipped and fell in, and his pants changed color, and that's how they started. Not true, but it makes a good story.
Well, my father-in-law bought this Toggery shop, which it was called, in 1945, and he was selling a red sailcloth pant made by M. Hoffman of Boston, and that company no longer exists. And then we moved to Nantucket, my husband and I, in 1951, and my husband went in the business with his father. And then after his father died, my husband, of course, took it over, and the store had been renamed Murray's Toggery. So my husband conceived the idea of calling them Nantucket Reds. At first, we called them Hulbert Avenue Reds because we had several summer girls who worked here from summer families, and they lived on Hulbert Avenue, so they started calling them Hulbert Avenue Reds, but then my husband thought they should be called Nantucket Reds.
It was a really heavy sailcloth fabric and in a rust color, and stiff as a board, and as people washed it, it softened up. When my dad came along, he had more items made besides just the pant, because ladies started buying all the men's things and they wanted their own stuff. So he had the fabric dyed and made just how he wanted it, and as it washed out, he coined the phrase Nantucket Red, and it really just grew from there. And then we had a lot of other things made too. Some people drag them in the water just to soften them up more, and put their hats in the top of the dishwashers to make them soft and weathered, and so there are lots of different stories going on.
The way to do it, you wash them in cool water, and they gradually fade to a pinky color. So, and that's the color that everybody likes so much. And the more you wash them, the better they are.
One thing that we have learned is to dip them in the salt water, and then you put them on your porch over the day, and the sun will beat on them, and they will fade naturally.
The best anecdotal story that I've heard about Nantucket Reds, our founder was on a buying trip to Boston, found a great bolt of fabric that looked like the sail that needed to be raised as part of the scalloping fleet back when you were sailing to go scalloping as opposed to motoring to go scalloping. And at the end of the season, after all the rain and the mist and the salt and the sea and the spray, it looked like a Nantucket Red. It's a faded red.
I really don't know why red. It could have been blue, I suppose, but it was the red sailing pant that my father-in-law had, and I guess that's why, because he already had that in the store, and so we just kept it that way. No one ever could conceive that it would become as big as it did. But then, of course, no one ever thought Nantucket would expand to the extent that it has to either.